Coalition politics are back in play in India after a decade of BJP dominance. Prime Minister Modi meeting his allies in New Delhi, where he was chosen to lead the coalition as it prepares to form the next government. While crucial to the post-poll math are two regional parties, the TDP and the JDU. They have emerged kingmakers because the BJP is short of the halfway mark in parliament by 32 seats. In the last two terms, the party on its own breached the 272 mark needed to form the government. This time, it won only 240 seats. To bridge that gap, the TDP and the JDU are crucial. Together, they add 28 seats to the tally. The BJP then, with other alliance partners, comfortably crosses the halfway mark. But as you can see, the opposition India alliance, that's Congress and 24 allies, is sitting at 232 seats. So there's speculation that the two kingmakers could be courted by this opposition bloc. Opposition leaders met at Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge's residence yesterday. Mr. Kharge said the India bloc will continue to fight what it describes as fascist rule and that it will take appropriate steps at the appropriate time. Now, reports suggest the BJP has taken written letters of support from the TDP and JDU. The presidents of both parties were at the Prime Minister's residence yesterday for the meeting of BJP's alliance partners. What's not clear at this time is what demands these parties might likely make in return to support the BJP.
They will want some key ministries, they will want some important positions in government, both in terms of the administration and in terms of how things appear to the public and to the outside world. Since they have fought the election on a common platform, I think it's safe to assume that people have voted on the understanding that these parties will come together and form an NDA government. So it may not be that easy for the smaller allies to switch sides. But on the other hand, they may decide to drive a hard bargain.
For the latest, Neha Poonia is joining us live from New Delhi. So Neha, Mr. Modi has been elected as the leader of the NDA coalition. Are they expected to stake claim to form the government soon?
Well, the BJP tweeted just a few hours ago saying that Prime Minister Modi's third term is signed, sealed and delivered, but clearly things not moving as quickly as the BJP would like or even as quickly as it's used to, given they had two back-to-back majority mandates for the last two terms. But what we saw on Wednesday was that show of unity, that show of strength by the BJP along with its minority allies that have been key to its bid to stake claim to forming government. Now, after that written letter of support was given by these allies, it was expected that Prime Minister Modi would head to the President's house and officially stake claim to forming government. He was expected to be accompanied by the TDP's Chandrababu Naidu and JDU's Nitish Kumar, who were both present and sitting right next to him at that meeting. That's not happened yet, which only goes to suggest, experts say, that perhaps the wrangling over power sharing in the agreement of who gets what portfolio in the next government is still not settled, and we're now picking up that perhaps Mr. Modi may only go to officially stake claim to forming government on Friday. Remember, reports suggest that he could be sworn in as early as Saturday. It's not been officially confirmed or announced yet, but the BJP, who had been expecting a landslide third term and a victory for Prime Minister Modi, according to what the exit polls had predicted last week, had already made the preparations for Modi to be sworn in by this weekend. But it looks like they may have to pause those plans because there's still no announcement. What we do know is that the NDA allies have agreed to support Prime Minister Modi. He's been elected as their leader, which means if they do stake claim to forming government, he will be the Prime Minister. But they've still not settled, it looks like, what that power sharing formula will look like.
As you mentioned, the two kingmakers were sitting next to the Prime Minister at the meeting yesterday. I mean, do we know if there are any assurances or any promises that they have sought from the BJP?
Well, I think it's fair to say that the BJP and perhaps a lot of people in India were not expecting this outcome. And Prime Minister Modi himself is not used to working with coalition partners. He's been in power with an absolute majority for the last 2 terms. Even when he was a state administrator for nearly 15 years, he did not have to rely on coalition partners. So this is perhaps new territory for him and for his BJP as well. But we've seen that change in tone and demeanor from Prime Minister Modi, from talking about himself at nearly every election rally, is now changed his speech and his messaging to include his allies as well. It's interesting because, like you said, the JDU and the TDP just contribute 28 seats to the BJP's massive 240. But it's the difference between being in power and not being in power, which is why we saw them sitting right next to Prime Minister Modi. It's given to understand that these allies are driving a hard bargain. The TDP reportedly gunning for the position of the Speaker of Parliament, which will give them significant say in how bills are passed, what happens in the case of defections as well. And it looks like the JDU is also gunning for some top ministerial positions as well for its leaders. Very little, of course, being said in the public domain, but it looks like the allies will want to be assured that they have what they want before they actually go with Mr. Modi to submit that support for him in front of the president.
And meanwhile, the India bloc is saying that they will take appropriate steps at appropriate time. Does that signal that they have decided to sit in opposition, at least for now?
It's interesting messaging because they're not outright conceding defeat, and it's been funny 2-3 days because even as the BJP's camp has been muted, even with the BJP still calling this a victory and a historic feat by Prime Minister Modi, with him set to return to power for a rare 3rd term, the Congress has also been celebrating along with its allies. We saw that meeting take place on Wednesday evening. They've not ruled out entirely being able to form the next government. They say they're still they're welcoming other parties that have similar ideologies who might want to join them. This is supposedly, a hint to the JDU and the TDP. Both of the parties have been aligned with the Congress and its allies in the past. Mr. Chandrababu Naidu has had gone on record previously to criticize Prime Minister Modi's way of functioning and governing. So the Congress seemingly not shutting that door entirely, keeping things open. But for now, they're hinting at possibly wanting to stay on in the opposition benches. But until the BJP can ensure it's locked that support from its allies in completely and agree to their demands, I think this uncertainty will continue.